Hey everyone, here's another video about the great Gene Krupa, and I'm really glad that people seem to be enjoying these Gene Krupa videos. Thanks to everybody for the nice comments and emails. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed and liked the videos. I'm always very happy to talk about Gene Krupa. Not only is he one of my favorite drummers, he's the reason I became a jazz drummer in the first place, and I also feel that as famous as he is, he's underappreciated in some ways. He was a master of the instrument, an incredibly creative player. He really had an individual style and approach, and he could get a great sound out of the drums. So this video is going to be about a technique that Gene Krupa used a lot, deadsticking. And deadsticking is when you play a stroke, but instead of letting the stick rebound as you normally would, you kind of press the stick into the drum or the cymbal, just kind of hold it there to deaden the sound. And that's the sort of thing that most drum books or videos, they'll usually tell you not to do that. That's kind of looked on as improper drum technique. And of course, in general, you do want to be coming off the instrument, but in reality, there are a lot of sounds and effects that you can only get through deadsticking. And jazz drummers use this all the time. Drummers in other styles of music as well, but it's very common in jazz drumming. And Gene Krupa and Joe Jones were the two drummers who really made me aware of this technique from seeing videos of them. And they both used it a lot. Joe Jones kind of used it in a different way from Gene Krupa, so I should do a separate video about him and his use of this technique. This video is going to concentrate on how Gene Krupa used deadsticking. And it was one of the ways that he could get just such a wide variety of sounds out of the instrument. Gene Krupa didn't play a huge drum setup, but he could get so many different sounds. And deadsticking was one of the ways he would do this. Gene Krupa used deadsticking a lot, and he was an absolute master of this technique. So one of the ways he would use this would be in his solos to change the sound of the drums. He would do something on the toms, let's say, something that you might play or that at other times he would play with an open sticking with a rebound stroke. But he would use deadsticking. So you can hear how just that changes the sound. And he would do this great thing where he would go from deadsticking to a rebound stroke and really change the sound of the drums. The sound would open up, something like get all kinds of great effects by doing that. The same thing on the cymbals. He would do things, you can hear the difference. You get so many different sounds. You'll also see in photos or videos when he's doing this, he would put his index finger up on the stick. His regular grip was more standard, but when he was doing this deadsticking thing, he would put his index finger there to sort of help push the stick into the drum or the cymbal and stop it from rebounding. He would also do this a lot, let's say, to cut off a note for maybe a horn break. If you want to make a short sound and cut off the note for an instrumental break, there are different ways to do it. One way is choking a cymbal. There's a lot of ways you can do that. Gene Krupa would do this a lot of times with deadsticking, just play the downbeat of the break. And that's a way that he would kind of cut off the sound, but there would still be a little fullness to the sound, and sometimes he would just leave the stick on the drum or the cymbal through the whole break until he was going to play again. You'll see him do that a lot. And one of the most unusual ways that he would use this, something that he did a lot that I don't really hear a lot of other drummers doing at all, would be to play the ride cymbal with deadsticking and ride the cymbal with this kind of deadsticking. And I'll show you what that sounds like. He would do that a lot. That's where you'll really see him with his index finger up on the stick like that. And he could do that and just control the sound of the cymbal, so he could still play with a lot of intensity without the sound building up too much and washing everything out. And as amazing as it is, he could play a ride cymbal like this with this technique and almost make it sound like a closed hi-hat. And in later years, he often had a swish cymbal with rivets off to his right, and he would ride on that cymbal with dead sticking, let's say under a piano solo. And again, a cymbal like that, a thin swish cymbal or Chinese cymbal with rivets, can be very hard to control, but he could use this technique to again play with intensity, but without the sound becoming overbearing. And Gene Krupa only used one ride cymbal. Like I said, sometimes he would have this swish cymbal that he would ride on, but really he just had one ride cymbal. And this was a way that he could get so many different sounds out of the cymbal. And one of the greatest effects, something that I really loved that he did with this, kind of similar to what I demonstrated on the tom-toms, he would maybe start out riding on the cymbal with dead sticking, and then as the intensity of the music built up, he would go into a more open stroke, a rebound stroke, and again the sound of the cymbal would open up, and this would just sort of take the music to another level. So he would just get so many different sounds by using these different techniques. So dead sticking, I think, is a great thing to check out. It's just another way to get a different sound. Another way that Gene Krupa would use this sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes playing a backbeat on the snare drum. I don't know if you can see my left hand on the snare drum, but just that's one that George Wetling actually did a lot, doing a dead stroke on the tom-tom, backbeat on the tom-tom with dead sticking. But that way of playing a backbeat with dead sticking is a very common thing for a lot of drummers, and especially early rhythm and blues drummers and drummers with Lionel Hampton and Louis Jordan and bands like that, where there'd be a lot of backbeat. A lot of times they would play it with dead sticking, but Gene Krupa would do that sometimes as well. And another thing I like about dead sticking, aside from just the different sounds you can get, just gives you a different feel of kind of playing into the instrument a little bit. And I think that even if you don't want to use dead sticking a lot in your own playing, getting comfortable with it can really improve your touch on the drums. Just sort of getting this feeling of maintaining contact with the instrument. And one thing I would say, it's easy when you try to play with dead sticking to tense up and push the stick into the drum or the cymbal too hard and just get very tense. And that's something to watch out for. You really want to stay relaxed with this. You could actually hurt yourself if you're not relaxed, because it is sending more of a shock through your arm than with a rebound stroke. But if you can play dead sticking and stay relaxed with it, that really can help your touch on the drums. And a few ways that you can think of that, if you think of playing with brushes, obviously brushes don't have the same rebound that sticks do, and we're playing a lot of sweeps with brushes. We all know the feeling of bringing the brush down to the drum and leaving it on the head. So you can think of that when you're doing dead sticking with sticks, even though we're not really doing sweeps. Kind of think of that same sort of feel with brushes, where you're leaving the brush on the head or on the cymbal. And brushes also obviously have a flex to them that sticks don't have, but you can imagine in your mind that the sticks have some flex to them, and that can help with this as well. You can also think of the drums or the cymbals as being very soft, maybe like a very soft pillow that you're kind of playing into, or that they're covered in molasses or something that's kind of gripping the stick when you put it down and you have to pull it back up. It just kind of catches the stick and holds it. So those are a few ways that you can think about this. Stay relaxed with it. Check out Gene Krupa. If you watch videos of him, you will clearly see him do this. It's not uncommon for him to use this technique, and it's just another thing that I think we can all learn from him. Just another way to get a great sound out of the drums. So I hope everyone has found this helpful, and I hope you will check out Gene Krupa and see and hear how he would use this technique. And I have more videos coming up, more about Gene Krupa, and also more about some of my other favorite drummers like George Wetling and Cliff Lehman and Joe Jones, who I mentioned. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I will be back soon.